Hey, comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. And fans, you're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, and Nick Lenz. And today, guys, we are going to be doing the countdown episode number 109. Now, this week wasn't a very heavy week when it comes to the comics. I don't think for a lot of people. I think there was a lot less comics coming out. And actually, this week tends to be a little bit of a light week as well, unless you're a DC fan and you want to get some of the annuals that are coming out. But besides that, I didn't see too many comics that are coming out this week. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I actually thought it was a pretty good week this week. There was a few wows, but not a lot of them.
Yeah, I nothing sat there and said, "Oh wow, this is the greatest comic," but there was some solid reads. I'll say that, and then we'll definitely talk about it as we go down through the countdown um, this week. But
Mhm.
I have altogether, I don't know how many comics you read, but I read altogether, I think, what I say, 12 comics, 11, and then one digital book. So how many did you read this week?
I read about close to about 40
Damn.
because I read like every single comic that DC publishes. That's regular universe, Marvel, and some independent comics.
Right. That's cool. Yeah, I just don't have time to read all that many. I mean, if I get 17 or 18 books, that's a lot for me, you know? So it's just hard to fit everything into the 1 week. So it's kind of
Yep.
difficult, but I managed to get by. So
hmm
all right, so we're going to start off. We'll start off with, I guess it's my number 12 book. The number 12 book was my digital book, and it was uh, Shark or Archie versus Sharknado. I actually read that book, and I read it digitally, and I like the Sharknado movies because they're so dumb. They're funny, and I get appeal of these sharks killing people and things like that. But when it comes to Archie, uh, I was just, for some reason it just didn't work. They couldn't get the same stupid appeal to make me laugh in the comic as they would in the TV movie. And it was just very repetitious. It was very boring at times, and I just didn't like it. And when I was done with it, I was like, wow, I am happy that I did not spend $5 on this actual book. So I was definitely happy with that. Did you read this one?
No, I didn't. I'm not really a big Archie fan, so I would not probably read Archie.
Uh-huh.
And plus, I have never seen the Sharknado movies.
Oh, you never have?
No, I know there's three of them.
Yes, yeah. The third one just came out um, this past Wednesday, and it was okay. I mean, those movies are okay and they're funny and they make you laugh. But the Archie books just I don't know, it just doesn't it just doesn't work for me. I was just like, I thought maybe it could be funny, but no, it just didn't work. So um, I
I
definitely
think
thought.
Sharknado has a cult following, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, sure it does. I think people like it, but I mean, whenever the movies come on, I mean, what's it called? Whenever the movies come on, the actual like you go onto Twitter and stuff like that, and it trends. So I really think that it really does have that cult following, and it just it's a
Mhm.
good time to laugh, and yeah. But comic wise, it just didn't work, and it was $5, dude. It was $5, so it just didn't. No, it wasn't going to work for me. So I don't know. I'm not going to
Why
buy
would
another.
Archie charge $5 for a book?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Archie's been turning her around lately, so um, but honestly, like it's I still don't believe in $5. It was a 40 something page book though. I can tell you that much. So I
Whenever I
guess it
see a
was.
$5 price tag, it's usually a special, an annual or some really big issue, but first issue, that is just dumb. I don't like that new trend that thinking that all companies should charge $5 for a first issue.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you too. I agree with you 100% on that. I think $5 comic books are just too much. They really shouldn't. They really shouldn't do them. And I don't know what they're expecting all these people to pay $5 for, but it was 40-something pages. But I read it digitally. I didn't pay $5 for it. I was able to get it through Frontline, so I wouldn't recommend paying $5 for it at all. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of dumb. But
the only $5 book that's worth that price is Ant-Man and #1. I mean, this was good. That's the only book I would probably recommend.
I definitely would love to try it out when I get some time. So a lot of people said it was good, so I definitely have to try it out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go on. That was number 12, right? So now we're going to go on to. Now we'll go on to number 11. And number 11 this week actually gets to the actual physical copies. And this one was Battle World Marvel Zombies issue number 2. Did you read this one by chance?
Yes, I did.
What did you think of this one this week?
I didn't think this issue was. It was not bad. It's just another continuation of what the first issue started with Lissa Bloodstone. I didn't find any major problems with the book. It's typical Marvel Zombies, but not like the original Marvel Zombies series, but it's typical Marvel Zombies.
Right. I thought you're exactly right. It was a continuation of the actual story. But it wasn't, nothing really happened in the story. It was basically her and the little girl just walking, come across the zombies. I thought it was kind of cool. There was some cool moments in there where you got to see her battle like that MODOK, or trying to get weapons from zombie MODOK. And there were some cool character moments, again, with the history of her and her father. But it was pretty much the same thing. I don't think it was a bad comic either. I thought the artwork was done really well. It was a great book to look at, but nothing really progressed the story. It was just like, all right, let's continue to walk and go to where we need to get to and come across these obstacles. And hey, this is my history. So it was almost like reading the exact same thing that I read last time. And then when you get to the end of the book, you wind up seeing her come across, I guess, was that Mystique? Is that Mystique on there? Like, who was that? It looks like it's her, I couldn't really make it out. So I don't know if it was like a zombie.
If the woman's got blue skin, it's probably Mystique.
Yeah, it was like a copycat. Zombie version of her, and the little girl was captured again. And then at the end, it's like the zombies, I guess, don't go crazy or hungry because Deadpool is hanging from the from the ceiling, so they can always like eat meat or whatever it is. So I didn't think it was bad either. I just think out of the books that I read, I thought that it was okay. It was an average read. I thought that the first issue was better because it did a good job in introducing these characters, but this time around it didn't do anything to really progress the character development. I didn't learn anything more, especially about this little girl. And I learned we didn't learn really that much more about Bloodstone either. We just knew about like her father looks like he's sick, and it looks like eventually you're going to learn how the father dies and how she was able to live on her own. So that's the only thing I can think of there. But it was okay. I'm going to give it like a.
Her father is.
What was that?
Her father is monster hunter Ulysses Bloodstone.
Right, correct, yeah. So it was. So I mean, honestly, I'm going to probably give it 3.25 out of 5 stars. It wasn't horrible. I liked the book, but compared to some of the other books that I read, it just didn't hit it out of the park for me this time around. So I don't know if you agree with me on that. So
Yeah.
let's see. All right, it looks like the video is actually, believe it or not, it's actually just starting to go live. The show, it actually just like updated itself. So we don't have any comments yet or anything like that. So so we'll just go forward now, and we'll go on to number 10. So right away we jump into a top 10 this week, and number 10 was a book that was very similar for me with when it comes to Marvel Zombies this time around. And this one was Future Imperfect, issue number 3, written by Peter David. This book this time has Ruby Summers and her band of rebels going over towards Maestro's castle or whatnot. And what happens now is that they have to go and recover the Thing. And the Thing is, in this series, he is he Thunderbolt Ross? No.
Yeah.
Is it him?
Yeah, he's Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah, he's Thunderbolt Ross. Yeah, it's him. And then Maestro is, I think,
the Hulk.
Yeah, yes. So it's a little bit reversal, yeah. But you get to see them here in this particular issue. It's kind of the same way. You get to see the rebels come together, and they try to penetrate the castle. And the whole issue, you get to see them come together and just penetrate the castle to try to go rescue him. And that really was the entire issue. You get to see them infiltrate the base. They go down the stairs. Nothing here that really, blew you out of the water. You get to see some, cool interactions with the characters when it comes to, fight scenes and whatnot, but not as solid as the last issue when you got to see Hulk and the Thing fight. And by the time you wind up getting to the end of this issue, you wind up seeing that Maestro and the Thing are actually working together. You see them working together to try to plan against Doom in order to go and stop him. So I thought that was pretty cool because he feels that Maestro can rule the world, and they can give these rebels their particular land back or whatever that they're staying at in Battle World right now. So, and then they have to go out and they have to, in order to do that though, they have to recover the Destroyer. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. So I like how the next issue, it looks like we're going to see things progress, but it took this entire issue to explain or for them to get to where they're going to get to next. So I don't know if you read this one, but what do you think of this one?
I did read it. The story I thought was good, typical Peter David awesomeness. For one thing, Greg Land is not at his usual awful self with this issue because the women are drawn like porn stars in superhero costumes, and you don't see a lot of smiling in this issue.
Yeah, well, you don't see the traditional teeth.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing about Greg Land. At least he wasn't. I think the only thing he did do that was typical Greg Land is his tracing thing that he loves to do.
Like,
I guess that's the reason why some people call him the tracer.
What does he trace? His own drawings, or like what does he do?
He copycats the same face, but gives them all different hairstyles, different panels. There's this famous issue of Ultra Fantastic Four where he gives Sue Storm in 4 different panels 4 different hairstyles.
Oh, that's so funny. I don't know what it's up with that. That's crazy. But a lot of people.
He's not a very popular artist. I mean, he's not as despised as Rob Liefeld is.
Right.
But at least he can draw backgrounds.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people say his stuff is photoshopped and things like that. So it's kind of it's wow, man. It's just so. But if he's so unpopular though, why do you think people keep giving him work?
I have no idea. and the fact that Marvel is giving him another book to write post Secret Wars. He's doing Kenny X-Men again.
Wow,
I
that's
thought he
funny.
was done with that series.
That's crazy.
I think the last time he drew that book was about 4 years ago. It was before AVX. That was the last time he drew it.
Oh, really? See, I don't even remember
Yeah.
him drawing it then.
I've read every single issue of Kenny X-Men, so I know about his artwork.
That's funny. Yeah, I just, you know, it's like, it seems like it's kind of cool art, but I always said it even when he was on Iron Man, like, it's like all his faces look the same, the women look the same, everything is very similar. Now, I get like people have, you know, drawing styles or whatnot, and you know, you can tell that it's their artwork, but I guess here you could tell that he's copycat. So, or it's just I don't know if it's a lazy type of art. I don't know, but a lot of people dislike his artwork, and it's crazy. So, I don't know. But
out of all the books he's done over the years, I think Iron Man is probably the only book that he actually did that actually his art style fits the book.
You think so? I didn't like it though. There, I didn't like it. I thought his armor,
because a lot of the women are usually very sexualized in Iron Man,
right?
So it makes sense for Mark to put him on that book. It makes no sense for being on Kenny X-Men,
right? I mean,
some people thought he was suffering from Iron Man fatigue when on their book recently before that.
Right. I thought Iron Man, I thought like when it came to all the armor that he drew and stuff like that, I thought it was pretty cool. And then everything else, it just, I don't know, it was very, it was so similar, basically like what we're talking about, you know? But yeah, it was like, yeah, it's funny because it's just like when I look at that book, you know, and I'm just like, I like the cover. I think the cover looks cool. You know, I like, you know, this coming out of her eyes and, you know, cool. It's a nice pose and you got the gun shooting out. And I like the background here when it comes to Maestro's vision in there looking over him. And, you know, and I remember like on my, I think one of my comments, someone says like, boo, Greg Land. It's like, I can't stand you. They just went off on him. And I was just like, I was laughing. I was like, that's so funny. But when you look at this page here, isn't that very similar to the cover? Like, look.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
It's like
the only difference is that Ruby has her mouth open that page, and the cover she doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty, and her hands, I think, are closed. It's so funny. It's like, but the body style is exactly the same, and the pose is exactly the same, and the vision, like the eyes and everything is the same. It's so crazy, man. I was like, wow, that guy makes a great point. You know, I was laughing. So I don't know. But the story overall, I think is it's an okay story. I like the first two issues. This issue was, I want to say, for a story like this, I felt that this was a filler issue. It took the entire book for them to get where they needed to. And then it's like, okay, now we're going to have the plan in place and we're going to see what happens in the next issue. So I felt that this was a filler issue.
Yeah. And out of all the characters who appear in this series, only Ruby Summers and Mesmer are the only Peter David creations actually in this book.
Gotcha. You know, I think for people, for people that may not know Ruby Summers, I would think that maybe you would like to,
try out X Factors. That's what first showed up.
Yeah, I think that people should want to learn about her more. You know what I'm saying in this?
Yeah.
So that would be cool. I mean, because she is a focal point in this book, but you know nothing about her at all. But it's kind of hard when you're doing a story about Secret Wars and everything is different. So I guess it makes sense. It's kind of hard to tell a story. So, all right. So let's move forward.
And it seems like Peter David doesn't write him any different than the last time that Peter David wrote him in Spider-Man 2099.
Right. So maybe she'll be back in the future, maybe.
Probably.
All right, so we're going to go on to number 9. And this book really fits the title. And this one was Weird World issue number 2. This was written this one's written by Jason Aaron. Did you read this one?
Yes, I did. And in case you wonder who that character is, that's Archon.
Yo, where's he from?
He first showed up in the pages of Avengers when Roy Thomas was writing the book.
How old is that?
Came up back, I think it was the late 60s he first showed
Oh,
up.
wow.
He's kind of like a D-list character who shows up now and again. Last I heard from him, he's married to Thundera, the woman who's from the alternate world where women dominate men.
Uh-huh.
And who happens to be the mother of Lyra, the other She-Hulk.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
And
So
the
you-
art style, the artist who did this book, last book he did was Elektra.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with his art style. It's very painted, not like Alex Ross style painted, but
Right.
it's a very well done painted style of artwork.
Gotcha. Yeah, this for me, I thought I liked this issue better than issue 1. Issue 1 was so weird that I was like, he's trying to find his kingdom, and this map was all over the place. He was in this crazy world, and this time around, it toned it down a little bit. Like I appreciated the art a little bit more. It seemed like it was more focused in one environment, so you can capture kind of what was going on in this issue. But this time around, you get to see Archon. He's trying to escape Ape-lantis, and it's an underwater world with apes. And I was like, that is hilarious. I mean, that was hysterical. And so he's kept in this dungeon, and yeah, we can see that artwork that we were talking about in here. It's just like this different type of like airbrushed or painted style of art. And he tries to escape his this dungeon, and he finds out that he has this ally with him, and the dude is made out of crystals, and he almost reminded me of like Colossus at first, but when he gives him his name, it's something completely different. Warbow, I think, is his name. And so together they work to escape, and they came up to the surface. And I thought this, the artwork was pretty interesting and different in here. I was like, wow, this is kind of intense, something that you would see maybe from like an independent comic book or something like that. And so what happens is they wind up escaping, and he says, well, why don't you come with me? And he's like, I have this map. He's like, I gotta save my friend, or it's the prince of his kingdom, which is another crystal thing. So in the end of the issue, when they finally get to where they need to, the guy goes and he rescues. They go to the place where he thought it was a dungeon, but it wound up becoming like this place where it holds all this treasure. And the dude's like, he finds like a bag of crystals, and he says, yeah, this is my best friend, or he's the prince. And Archon's like, what? He's like, what the hell is going on here? He's like, oh God. Or he says, oh, doom. And then he goes, well, what happens is you go completely insane, and then you die. So, and then they get captured by these creatures or whatnot. And I was like, you know what? That's pretty weird. That's honestly all I can say about that issue. I was just like, wow, that is something completely different. I did not expect that to happen. And but it was a good issue. I thought it was much improved than issue number 1. So did you read this one, Nick?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah, I did read it. I almost forgot about Archon. He is a dictator of an alien planet.
He's a dictator of an alien planet?
Yeah, he rules a planet, and he's tried to seduce 2 different female superheroes to be his wife. First, it was the Scarlet Witch, and then he tried to seduce Storm to be his wife. They both turned him down when they found how he treats his people. And of course, he married a woman from alternate reality.
Yeah, I knew nothing about this character, so I was kind of like, well, he's somewhere in the universe, and he's got to somehow exist. But he's one of those people that I didn't do the what's it called? I didn't do the research on him, So I was like, oh, he's somewhere here.
Well,
So,
I was very familiar with him because I read a lot of the issues he's actually appeared in. Thanks to the Marvel Essential line, they actually collect a lot of his early appearances in that book when he appeared in pages of Avengers and Uncanny X-Men.
nice.
I don't remember which line he showed up in.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm clueless about the guy, and I don't. Do you think we're going to see him after the fact?
Could be. I mean, his planet was not targeted by the incursion, so I highly doubt that his planet is gone. I just don't know why that they put him on Battle in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
It just seems head scratching.
I mean, do you think like a lot of people are actually, know about this character that are reading this and say, okay, well, why put this character in Battle World? How many people actually know about him?
Well, besides me, maybe some old hardcore fans might know about him, but I think of him as sort of an obscure D-list character.
Yeah, F-list for me. So.
And the title Weird World is not the first time Marvel has used this title before. They used it as part of anthology stuff back in the 70s. They actually collected it recently in trade.
Okay, so I mean that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So why they have the series called Weird World? So that I get where the title comes from. That totally makes sense to me. All right, so you ready? You ready to move on?
Yep.
All right, cool. So that was that 11, 10, 9. So we're going on to number 8. Number 8 is probably a book you might know. Wonder Woman issue number 42. You read it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so why don't you tell the audience a little bit about the story? What do you think of it?
Basically, it's just Wonder Woman. Of course, Donna Troy shows up in the issue as well. It's just her dealing with a bunch of godlike stuff, and of course, continuing dealing with the aftermath of the first arc of the Finch's run. Beautiful artwork by David Finch. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, I agree with you 100% on that. I think the artwork is outstanding. I was looking at this artwork and I'm like, man, oh man. And I think he's actually improved on this actual story, in my opinion, when it comes to his artwork.
Yeah.
I think it's improved since he first started.
One thing I noticed though, the first issue he did, is that he made Wonder Woman's nose tiny. Did you see that in issue 36?
Yeah.
I mean, Wonder Woman's nose like really tiny. I mean, the only person I've ever seen do that for Wonder Woman is Tony S. Daniel on Superman Wonder Woman, where it makes the nose so tiny.
Yeah. But I agree with you. I mean, even these first pages in this issue, and this is for the audience that hasn't read it or looked at it, where she's dancing and she's actually in normal clothes. I'm like, he made her look gorgeous, and just like his facial expressions in the actual issue were really well done. Just when this guy was kind of groping on her and everything like that, it was fantastic. And even when she gets angry and mad, I was just like, wow, man, it's just look at her, and it's just like, and I think he draws her how Amazon should be drawn, and just everything about her is really a gorgeous drawing of her, and it's just like, wow, it makes you just like always want to look at her. But the overall, like this page right here, this was the best page in the book by far. And I was like, wow, that is just a nice page. And so the person that she's going after is kind of like a great grandson to what is it? The water? I'm not good with my mythology.
The god of the sea is Poseidon.
Poseidon, that's right, Poseidon. And so he's trying to get these powers, and he's trying to earn the powers. So basically, him and Wonder Woman are basically going to go at it against each other in the future issues to come. Cool dialogue moments here between Wonder Woman and Donna Troy, like you mentioned earlier. She's still trying to get into her head, saying, time to reflect. There's time to turn around, the way you are. And it's cool because Wonder Woman doesn't know any better. She's like kind of perfect in every way. And it's just like, and Donna Troy was created and to be this almost like this monster, you know what I'm saying? So it's like she doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
And so then she comes across, and I'm not sure of the person here who she came across, because I don't read that much Wonder Woman. Who was it that she came across at the end of this issue? That female right there.
I don't remember. Oh, Strife.
Strife.
That's her name, Strife. She's a woman who's kind of like Giganta. If you ever heard of a Giganta, the woman who could grow giant size.
Yeah.
She has the same powers that she does. She's an old Wonder Woman character, and this version of her was introduced in the previous run of the book. When they had Brian Azzarello do the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how old do you think Donna Troy looks when she's drawn in the book?
In this book?
Yeah.
She looks like the same age as Wonder Woman. To me, at least.
Well, when I look at her, she looks like the way she looked in pre-New 52. She's not wearing the same suit that she was wearing, but the way she looks physically, she looked like a woman in her early 20s, I'd say.
I was going to say mid-20s. I was going to say probably around 25, 26.
Yeah. I hope at some point they have her meet Dick Grayson and the rest of the older Titans at some point.
What do you think is Strife going to do with Donna Troy? What do you think her MO is?
Probably maybe free her.
Maybe
she and Wonder Woman do not get along at all.
Right.
Despite the fact they're related. At one point, she actually, because I don't know if you noticed, Zeke and his mother showed up in this issue.
Yes.
And at one point, Strife actually offered to babysit Zeke while the mother's off doing something.
But do you like this? Do you like this series? You read this series Azzarello run too, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I've read every single issue.
So,
and it seems odd though that Steve Trevor himself, a character who's associated with Wonder Woman, has never shown up in a single issue. Not even during the Finch's run so far.
Right. Yeah. No, I know that.
You have the Justice League show up, but no Steve Trevor.
How do you feel about this series, like as overall, like ever since the Finches took it over? What do you think of it? Do you think it's stronger, or do you think Azzarello's run was stronger? What do you think? I know there was a lot of mixed people thinking about this at one point when
I thought Azzarello's run was okay, but the Finches run definitely improved the book.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for a lot of people, when Azzarello was on the book, some people thought the book might be on the verge of being canceled.
Oh, really?
At some points, because people did not like it at all. And Wonder Woman was being drawn like a Greek.
Mm-hmm.
Greek, because she's... I mean, I didn't have a problem with the way she was drawn in there. Chung, I think his name is, the one who drew the book before Dave Finch took over. And there were some things I didn't like, but the way the story flowed throughout the first 35 issues did flow really well.
Right. Now, I didn't read the book because a lot of books for me, it has to have really good artwork unless the story is phenomenal. And I remember I read the first couple issues of Azzarello's run. I was like, this is not for me. So I'm gonna put it down because I didn't know that much about Wonder Woman. I never have, because like I tell all my, everybody that watches my channel, I'm always like, I'm not a huge, DC guy. I only know from New 52 on up. And I'll admit that every single time. I'm not an historian type of comic reader. I go with what's current and whatever I remember, I kind of remember. I'm not the big person that has to remember every single thing that happens. I always go with the flow and kind of, go with what's current. That's kind of the way I am when it comes to these comic books. And if I appreciate a story, I'll remember it. If it's not, doesn't make an impact, I just kind of let it go in my my memory banks. You know what I'm saying? So, but I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
I've
ahead.
only read Wonder Woman over the past few years,
Right.
so I'm just slowly catching up exactly a lot of her stuff that's came out for her over the years. But Wonder Woman is not a character I've read a lot of her series. Superman, I've read somewhat a good chunk of his spin-off books, but it took me a little while to get into Superman and the Wonder Woman books because I'm not a big fan of either one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally understand. Yeah, but when I saw this book and I saw the artwork, and based off of David Finch's artwork for Forever Evil, I was like, well, I'm definitely going to sit there and see what he has to do with Wonder Woman. And when I saw it, you know, his artwork was good, but it wasn't polished like it kind of is now. And now it's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm just in love with the book visually, and I think the stories are pretty good too.
The first book I've read with his artwork on it was when he wrote New Avengers.
New Avengers, yeah. He talked about that when we were on Frontline Live, and he was telling us his days on the Avenger books. So it's cool.
Yeah, I think he enjoyed working with Brian Michael Bendis. He's probably one writer besides his own wife. He actually does enjoy working with. One of those very few writers does enjoy working with.
Yeah,
her along with Bendis and Jeff Johns.
Oh God, yeah.
I think he had a blast with Jeff Johns when he did Forever Evil.
Well, I'm sure.
I think that's what he said.
I'm sure, absolutely. It's got to be awesome. It's got to be crazy working with your wife. I know we asked him that too, how it is working with each other, and they said that they work well with each other. So they're nice people. They really are. It's nice. We've met Meredith a couple times, and then we met David was on the show one time, and it was a blast having him on there. So good stuff. All right, so you want to move on?
Are you guys planning to have any other special guest writer or artist besides them anytime soon?
We're always
trying. Has been on the show a few times.
Yeah, we're always trying. I know we've had them on. We've had Pat Shan on. Peter David's been on one time. We've had him on there. Who else do we have? Someone else on there. We're always trying.
I know Kat.
We had Jimmy.
I know Kat did have.
We had Jimmy Paul.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, we had that one on there too. So we had them. Jay and Kat work really hard to get those guys on there. It's very difficult, and we're all trying to get in contact with them also. So we're always trying.
I know the biggest person that Kat's ever got on a live show with was Greg Weisman.
Yeah.
When they did like a Young Justice tribute show.
Right.
I was surprised that she was able to get him.
Right. Well,
I would think a guy like him would be kind of hard to get.
He was also on I want to say Media Madness on Frontline. I'm not sure, but he was on the Frontline channel. Her and Jay did an interview with him when it came to Star Wars, when it came to canon issue #1 when it first came out. So we had that. We had him on there too. So yeah.
Well, I know this is not the first comic he's written because I found out reading issues of Cap Now, he actually co-wrote that with Carrie Bates. I don't know if you heard of this writer. This guy did a lot of reimagining of. He's one who actually, in a way, helped like start the Silver Age of comics.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, he's one, along with Gardner Fox, came up with Barry Allen and Hal Jordan.
Oh wow, that's cool. All right, so let's move forward.
But he's most noteworthy working on the Flash for years. All right. I'll be back in a couple minutes, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. So we're going on to number 7. Yeah, number 7. And number 7 for me this time around was Old Man Logan, issue #3. Old Man Logan #3 this week was a really solid story. I enjoyed the introduction to the story where you got to see him kind of do battle against Apocalypse. We have Sorrentino back on the artwork, which I think is beautiful artwork, but at the same time, for me, it doesn't fit the book. I want to see visual expressions. I want to feel part of the book, where Wonder Woman, I can feel part of the book and involved into the book, whereas of Wolverine, I'm not just quite there. I can't feel it as much, even though, again, it is beautiful artwork. I'm just like, I don't feel involved. But in this issue, you wind up seeing Wolverine. He gets he winds up waking up in Techopolis, because you find out that Tony Stark and Arno Stark wind up recovering him, and they're doing studies on him, and he winds up seeing where he's at, and he winds up finding out that no one is kind of willing to help him. He wants to, he still wants to travel and whatnot, and so Tony Stark is always trying to figure out what's going on, why the virus is not affecting him, and and Logan's questioning Tony. He's like, "You don't remember me?" He's like, "I'm an X-Man," and he's like, "You're an Avenger," and he's like, "I'm a what?" And so there was good character interactions there between the characters. I thought that was really nice. And by the time we wind up getting to the end of this issue, they feel that, or at least James Rhodes feels that he is breaking the rules of Doom, the Doom law, which is you can't cross borders. And he crossed his world when he went to go climb the wall, and he wound up into a different world, and now he's in another world. So they wind up throwing him into the shield or whatever it is, and they come across the Deadlands with the zombie crew in there, and you get to see like a Dr. Octopus right there. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I think that the issue is really good. I think the story is neat. It's cool to kind of see the Secret Wars cross over a little bit with this title. And I think that's how eventually we're going to get Logan into the all different Marvel, because he keeps crossing over the places. And but the one thing that I love the artwork, and I always say it, I love the artwork, but it doesn't fit this book, because I feel that I need to see more of what's going on. I want the art to capture me. And I think this type of artwork, there's too much action going on and you get lost of what's happening. So what do you think? Did you read this one? Do you agree? Disagree?
I did read it, Mike. I actually thought this was probably one of the best books to come out of Marvel this week.
Okay.
And I thought it was interesting. First he's in Age of Apocalypse Zone, then he's in Armor City, and then he's in Deadlands. But I think probably the most interesting character he probably met and saw in the book was probably seeing Apocalypse himself. Though I think the whole point of that is probably to help promote Age of Apocalypse, Armor Wars, and possibly Marvel Zombies.
It's maybe very possible.
That's the reason why they haven't done.
Yeah, it's possible. I think they did a good job at maybe cross promoting that stuff, but I think at the same time I thought it was really good how they did it, to where it's not everyone just stuck in their own little domain. I like the idea of him crossing over into these other worlds, because you're you're not allowed, So, and it seems like that's what this book is all about, of him just going from place to place to place where no one has ever gone before, That's the aspect that I like about it. So that's what I like. What do you think of the artwork, though, for this title?
I thought it looks okay. When it first started, I'm sure a lot of us thinking this artwork doesn't fit this book. But 3 issues in, we're kind of really used to it. I mean, it's because Wolverine is from a dark future, so that's why the artwork kind of fits. I thought it was interesting how the artist drew Apocalypse. Very menacing.
I like the opening page. Like certain elements of this work. You know what I'm saying? Like this is beautiful. Other elements where the action actually happens, I just find myself getting lost in it. All the darkness, the blackness, things like that. I just don't like this part here that's going on. I'm just like, oh, what's happening? There's too much of I don't know, blackness and blueness with some thundercrackers, and it's just too much. It's like too dark. Just doesn't fit. I liked it in Arrow for some reason, in Green Arrow, in that comic series, because I felt like there wasn't that much action involved. I feel like Wolverine is a more heavy action type of character. So he's going to fight more. He's going to battle more. He's going to, rough up the characters more, where Green Arrow, there was a decent amount of fighting, but it was a good balance, where you could make out things. And I thought for Lemire's run on Green Arrow, I thought that artwork fit perfect. But for here, it doesn't work. And even Sorrentino's artwork in Guardians of the Galaxy was okay at times when he was doing the Black Vortex portion of it, because he draws beautiful cosmic stuff. And then again, there was that one page here where it showed Technopolis, like this page, that's beautiful. That's where the artwork works. But when it comes to the stuff between on the bottom, to me, it doesn't go. It gets too busy, too crowded. It's hard to see what's going on. So I have mixed feelings about that artwork there. But the story itself is really good.
I read an article that Bendis is a fan of the original story, one by Mark Millar and Steve McNiven. If he was a fan of that story, why couldn't he have Steve McNiven do the artwork on the book? I mean, his artwork was actually fantastic for that original story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's gonna be doing Uncanny Inhumans post Secret Wars.
Right. Now, I don't know if you remember me saying this, but I never read the original Old Man Logan series. And everyone's telling me, oh my God, Mike, you have to. And I will. I'll get to it when I did. But I did see the artwork in it. And I was like, wow, the artwork in that's the way it needs to be,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I guess you can't have everything. But the story overall is a good story. And it was pretty close to being in my top 5.
The most recent work the artist did, he did the Death Wolverine series that came out last year.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that the Death of Wolverine series was a pretty good series. I like this series overall. Now, when it came to the weekly, what was it, the weekly series? Now,
Wolverines?
Wolverines. I did not enjoy that at all. I got about 5-6 issues in, and I didn't like it.
I read all 20 issues of it, and I felt as though the story was not finished when the final issue came out. I felt as though they could have told more story, but they had to stop because of Secret Wars.
Right. Yeah, you're probably right about that. They probably had this plan in place to to make this whole Wolverine series, and then they're like, well, sorry guys, we're going to end the Marvel universe. You got to end your series.
I mean, there are some books that you didn't have like See You in Secret Wars. Punisher had that, did not have that at the end of his book. So there could be another Punisher book coming out soon, but I haven't seen anything that solicits about it.
Right, yeah, exactly. I don't know, we'll see. All right. Ready? Number 6.
Yep.
I wonder if you read this book. It's the first issue of this that I picked up in a while, and this time around it's Sinestro issue number 13. You read this?
Oh yeah, I read this. I've read every single issue of that series. I think for Colin Bunn for this series, this is one series that, out of all the series he's running for DC, this is one series he does correctly, and it's not average every issue.
Right. I think after I read this issue, I felt like this was the closest thing to a Green Lantern book that I've read in a while. Mm-hmm. And I think he really knows how to write Sinestro. And the artwork in here, too, is beautiful. Brad Walker's artwork, I think, is absolutely gorgeous in this book. And I have been away from it for a little bit. I haven't read it. I don't know, because of Convergence, or I don't know why I haven't read it. But it was cool seeing actual, what's his name, Sinestro, save his planet. Because they're all thinking that the planet was going to die, and you know, his daughter were sitting there going, "You're a fool. You're going to kill all these people." He's like, "You're going to let your people down again like you did in the past." And throughout the entire issue, you know, you get to see him trying to convince his daughter, because now his daughter, I guess, became a Yellow Lantern. So, because what is it? She had to get the yellow ring because the Green Lanterns disappeared mysteriously, and she would have disappeared as well. So, what? He stuck a Green Lantern ring on her, right? Is that kind of what happened?
He stuck a Yellow Lantern ring on her.
That's what I meant to say. Yellow
Which I'm not
Lantern.
surprised he did that.
Right. And do you feel now that this book ties into that Lost Army book?
Yeah, it kind of does. I mean, Sinestro, since the beginning, has still, despite the fact it's supposed to be its own separate title, it does loosely connect to the other books. And when they put her as a supporting character in this book, when the series first started, it was a terrific idea. I mean, why not? Her father's the star of the book, so why not have her as a supporting character?
Yeah, yep, I agree.
And I know for a fact that this artist is not the original artist in the book. I think this is like the 6th artist they've had in the book, because in the first 5 issues they went through 4 different artists.
Oh my god, that's crazy. But the
artwork. I don't know
artwork.
why they did that for.
Yeah, I don't know. The artwork in this issue is really well done, and but by the time we got to the end of this issue, we find out that there was a traitor amongst the group of the Yellow Corps. And we find out that Parallax is used to save the planet, to stabilize the planet and save it, which I thought was awesome to see Parallax again. And we find out that the traitor was Alyssa Dark, and it was like, oh wow, that's crazy that it was her that was the traitor. And and you wind up seeing that, you know, hey, she could betray him again, but he's going to keep a close eye on her. And they wind up kissing at the end, which is kind of fitting, because it's like Sinestro admires her for her betraying him. She's like, oh, if you're going to do it right, you know? So it was very interesting. I really liked the issue. I really did. It had great moments between his daughter and him, and Alyssa Dark, and the whole betrayal thing, and him saving the planet, and how cocky he is. And I loved all that was involved in this book, and it really got me reinvested into this issue. And I was just like, man, I'm on board. I was like, why did I drop off of this to begin with? I have no idea, but I loved it. It made me pick it up only because I saw Parallax on it. I was like, this is cool. I'm like, this reminds me of Jeff Johns' run. It's just everything. But I remember, though, like I said, when Colin Bunn was writing this first issue, and I read the first issue, I'm like, you know what? He knows how to write Sinestro. It's like he studied everything about the character and wrote him to a T. So, I mean, that's my thoughts on that one. So I thought it was really, really good.
Did you notice on the cover, looked like the price had been reduced? Because I think when it started was $3.99, now it's $2.99.
Is it really? I didn't know. I'm not sure, but $2.99, I'll take it every month for $2.99. That is for sure.
Well, it's been that way for the past couple issues, but I think when it first started, it was $3.99. Then for some reason, I think only Green Lantern is $3.99. Lost Army, I think it's $2.99, and this one's $2.99 as well.
Oh wow. Well, that's fine with me.
And wouldn't you be surprised if somehow Bunn opened up the next issue and Sinestro and Dark are in bed together?
Yeah, I could see it happening. You know, I found it was cool. Like, he just like, oh, that's cool that you betrayed me, but next time do it right. It was so awesome.
I'm like, of all people, why her? She's the keeper of the Book of Parallax.
I know. I was shocked. I was really shocked, but I have no idea. Maybe we'll find out in time, you know? Yeah. So
I read his other 2 books that he currently writes now, Lobo and Aquaman.
Yeah.
Lobo is just average right now. I mean, when it first started, it was really good. Now it's just average.
Yeah.
His Aquaman book probably is his second best book he's running for DC right now.
Which one?
Aquaman. I think it's on the same level as Green Lantern Lost Army.
Is it? Okay. Gotcha. All right, so we got
But Lost Army is better than this.
We got a couple of comments on here. So we have Harry Bean, who's given the a top 5, and so we're about to go on to the top 5. I think 3, 4, 5. So when we go through the top 5, I'll announce his top 5 or his number 5 on there, and then we have Holger Peterson, who is on, and he goes, the most comics released last week were very disappointing, especially Aquaman number 42. I liked Old Man Logan number 3, Marvel Zombies number 2, and Canon The Last Padawan number 4. Also, I read the whole Justice League's God and Monsters digitally stuff, and it was great. Yeah, so that's cool. If you guys want to leave more comments, go ahead. Please leave your comments. Tell us anything. Tell us your favorite comic, your least comic, maybe any movies that you saw this week. Did any of you guys see Pixels, Ant-Man this week? Any comic book news that you want to talk about? Go ahead and start leaving them, and we can discuss them as the show goes along. So, okay.
Now it's top 5, right?
Yeah, now we're going on to the top 5. These are the comics that actually matter here. So, all right. So next we have my number 5, and see, since it was a light week, it gives me a chance to try different things. And now that I'm making a true decision on what Secret Wars books I want to keep reading, and then now start dropping, I can on these lighter weeks I can start like experimenting with some other comics. And I haven't picked this up in a while either. And so my number 5 book this week was IDW's Transformers. This is issue number 43. And I'll tell you the sole reason why I picked this up, because I like Soundwave, and he's badass. And there was Cosmos, who's that little Autobot UFO spaceship guy. And I was like, dude, I have to have this book. I don't care if it sucks or not. I'm going to like it because it's got a cool-ass cover on there. And not only is the cover good, but the artwork in it is visually outstanding. The covers are great. The interiors are great. The colors are great. It's like something you would want to see out of a movie or a cartoon itself. It's such a gorgeous book to look at. And this is the way Soundwave looks on here. And I'm just like, wow, that is so awesome. The one thing is, though, in this book is when you're reading it, Soundwave's dialogue, it's like it doesn't sound like Soundwave from like you would know when you were watching the TV. He talks a lot, and it's just like, okay, I don't picture that Soundwave voice in my head, but visually, again, the book is outstanding. And they make some cool
What was that deep voice in the show?
What was that?
Soundwave always had a deep voice on the original show.
Yeah, and he did. And he was just so slow talk. He wasn't slow talking, but he was a robot of like very little words, And then here he talks a lot. Yeah. And there were some references in this issue with him being called an overgrown tape deck, which I thought was hysterical in here. And it was cool though because the war is over. There's no more war between the Decepticons and the Autobots. And there was this satellite that was being built, like a refuge if you wanted to get away from certain things. And so the funny thing is that the Autobots don't trust the Decepticons still, even though the war is over. And they find out that there's this satellite that's being built, and Soundwave and some other humans are up there. And Cosmos is sent to spy on him. And Soundwave hears him because he's got this crazy ass hearing, and he goes to talk to Cosmos through the issue, and he's just sitting there going, they start fighting each other, but it was fighting for the wrong reasons. It was just so Cosmos can hear what's going on, and really what happens is Soundwave invites him to become part of this group, to be part of this, satellite. If you want to hang out with us, go ahead and hang out. And it's like RC is the one that's kind of pulling the strings here about sending, the Autobots to spy. And he's like, well, I got to think about it, because he's like, I don't know, you're a Decepticon. It just feels odd to trust you guys. So he goes and he lies down and he chills out and he thinks about it. But I think he's really coming to grip now that, hey, maybe this is the right thing to go hang out with the Decepticons and accept the fact, where some of the Autobots don't really accept this war, that this war is actually over. So I like that. I really like that element of this book. We really only featured these two characters on here, but I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure if you read Transformers or not, Nick. Can you hear me?
I'm still here, Mike.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Do you read this series?
Yes, I do. Though I don't think the series has changed that much focus in the past year or two.
Mm-hmm.
All they did with this book is, well, this issue was good, obviously. The only change they made to this book was they dropped the title of Robots in Disguise.
And they call it Transformers.
Because originally, yeah, they call it and there is a reason for that. The TV show of Robots in Disguise, so they won't have any confusion. And there is a book set in the continuity of that TV show that came out this week. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but the show itself is just odd, to say the least. It's supposed to be a semi-continuation of Transformers Prime, but it doesn't really feel that way at all. Mm-hmm. The only thing they kept from the show was Death of Optimus Prime.
Right. Gotcha. This is current show?
Yeah, this is the current show.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, see, I've always watched the old one, the one from the 80s, and I haven't watched any of the recent stuff.
I watched the original show, Beast Wars, Beast Machines.
Beast Wars I watched.
Transformers Armada, Cybertron, Animated, Prime, and this one. I have not watched fully of Transformers Aaron John yet.
Gotcha. Now, I heard that I guess the Combiner Wars just ended. Did you read that?
Yeah.
How was that?
Was that? Yeah, it was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It was interesting. They adapted the concept from Transformers Cybertron. Taking two Transformers and combining them with one.
Right.
They did that with Optimus Prime and some lion-based Transformer, and they formed this like claw type of thing. It's kind of like a special attachment to Optimus Prime in the show.
Oh, that's cool. Now I wonder when that trade comes out, because I want to read it in trade, because that looked always interesting to me.
I haven't seen on Amazon yet, but I'm sure they're probably gonna put it on there. I always thought that this particular book was basically, of the three books, because they got three Transformers books right now, this book, Modern Meets the Eye, and Windblade, I always tend to think of this book as probably in third place.
Mm-hmm.
But this book is a little bit better than it has been lately.
Right.
But I know that Chris dropped the book because it had way too much dialogue in it.
This book here?
Yeah, when it was known as Robots in Disguise. I think he still reads More Than Meets the Eye.
Does it? More Than Meets the Eye aren't they on some crazy mission that's been going on forever now?
Yeah, with Megatron on their team.
Yeah, I heard. I've read a few issues of that too, and I think I was reading them all at one point. But there's times though where there's a lot going on in the Transformers world, and it's like, geez, So it's like,
yeah,
I want to read them, but I'm afraid I'm not going to understand everything that's going on, because I really am a huge fan of Transformers.
I know Galvatron's supposed to be in this series, but I didn't see him this issue. Did you?
Yeah, no, he was only in the introduction page of what happened previously, so he wasn't in this actual issue.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. All right,
I
so
just think it's odd IDW has him and Megatron as two completely different characters.
oh, I know.
When in the original Gen 1 show, they were the same character.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let me see if I have any more comments. No other comments are showing up right now. But Harry Bean's top 5, his number 5 was E for Extinction. And I didn't read it this time around.
I did. It still has that horrible artwork.
Oh, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. I read it. I just couldn't get it this time around. So, but that was his number 5 right now. All right, so we'll go forward. We'll go on to number 4. And number 4 this week, and I thought this was a really good issue. I thought this would be number 1 for a long time, but it wasn't. But this was Cyborg, issue number 1. Did you read it?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, this was really good. I loved the direction that they're going with when it comes to Cyborg, because I guess you get to learn more about Vic than kind of like the robot side. You know, it's like you want to learn more about him, how his relationship is with his father. So there's really good character development in here. I thought the artwork was really well done. There was nice details in here. And it really goes into the depth of, you know, he's died like how many times? Like 3 times, you know? So it's like right away his father sees that his organics or his cyborg metal or whatever it is that is changing and it's healing itself. And all of a sudden he becomes like this science experiment. And his father doesn't give 2 shits about him, you know? And so it was like, I really liked that aspect of it, to see how maybe their relationship is going to develop or not develop throughout this series. And I hope they continue or play off of that. And then the whole other mystery is you're finding out what's going on with his armor here on where it came from or how he became that way. And now you get some other these weird alien creatures that are coming too that look like they're going to be involved in the future story as well. So I thought it was a good book. I thought it was a great read. What did you think overall?
It was definitely a good issue. This is, well, the first time anybody's seen Silas Stone and T.R. Morrow and the character, the woman Sarah. Sarah, it's been a long while since anybody's seen her. I think anybody's seen her since Origin. But as for Silas Stone and T.R. Morrow, this is the first time they've shown up since the Forever Time for Justice League.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Sarah, I don't even know who she really was. Is she like just a person that works with the father, or is she a friend, or who is she?
She is his colleague, and in the original origin story, she helped him basically grab Cyborg's original like cybernetic parts that he had when New 52 first started. But it's been a while since I've seen her. She hasn't really shown up all that much. Not even Silas at all. He very rarely shows up, and it's not a bad idea to have him and T.R. Morrow as a supporting characters in the book. I mean, why not?
Right. It looks like it's going to develop. It looks like it's going to develop her a little bit more within this series, and that's probably why they put her in here.
Yeah, I felt as though when New 52 first started, when they gave Cyborg his parts, it was something like the same type of thing that he went through in Marv Wolfman's original origin story for him. But instead of like regular demons coming out of that portal, it was the parademons.
Right.
I mean, Jeff Johns just took that concept, that little bitty part of Cyborg's original origin story, and put it in New 52. So you can kind of say that kind of thing did happen, but it was different. I mean, Cyborg himself is virtually like the same character he's been written over the years. But I do like the way that David Walker writes him in this book. I wouldn't say it's better than Jeff Johns. I would say he's probably the second best writer to write him in the last decade, besides Jeff Johns.
That's good. That's based off of this one issue that you read. I think that's awesome. I mean, I think this series definitely has potential. I was just like, dude, Cyborg kicks ass. I was like, this is a great book. I was just, it really dove deep into the character and how he feels and his emotions. And it's kind of, you don't feel that when he's in the Justice League book. He's just he's out doing battle, and that's pretty much it. He's just part of the team, and they don't have time to really focus on him. And now that he has his own book, now you get to focus on him and his supporting cast. And I think this is going to be a really strong book, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I originally thought if the whole TV stuff had not gone off really good, I mean, I heard rumors for a while that maybe Jeff Johns wanted to do this series, but I think because he doesn't have much time to do it, so he just focuses on doing Justice League.
Yeah.
So that's probably the reason why they chose David Walker is because of his work on the Shaft series, which I have a chance to read it, but like I told you, it's a really good book, I've heard. But having him write a book, but I think that Jeff Johns made a fantastic choice picking him to write the book. But I didn't understand what was the reason they had to change its look again.
I don't know. I think you think maybe because the whole armor revolving thing type of that's
probably,
the way.
This is like his third look in New 52 in the reboot universe.
Yeah, I think it's because of the way because every time he gets killed or whatever it is, it's like it looks like his armor or his robot self is self-repairing, whatever. It's always evolving. It's changing itself. It's like alive. It's organic. It's not necessarily he's cybernetics anymore,
Yeah.
So that's the way it looks. A cool book. I liked it.
Do you think it's interesting he has not met the Teen Titans yet?
Yeah, I know. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll cross it over. They'll cross it over. I think. I mean,
longtime fans of the character always think if he was part of Teen Titans. Jeff Johns put him in the book because they probably. I'm sure that he really wanted him to be part of the Justice League so badly because he's a huge fan of the character, and that's the reason why he's in the book. But reckoning him to be a founding member of the Justice League is kind of okay, but getting rid of his Teen Titans history, that was a bad idea for editorial stuff.
Right. Because originally, he's Teen Titans, or he's Titans, so.
Yep.
Definitely a strong book, and I can't wait to see how hopefully it continues and it moves forward and we get good stories. The one thing that I'm nervous about is like the villains in this series. Like, are they going to be generic, and I hope that they're not. That's what I don't want. I don't want generic villains, so we'll see where it goes. All right.
I wouldn't mind if he fought villains into a new Teen Titans series in this book.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. Wouldn't. It'd be cool if they kind of threw back to that a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. So now let me see. What do we got? I think we got Harry Bean's comment from before. He said that his number 4 book was Weird World issue number 2. So we talked about that earlier. We had our discussions about that. It definitely is a jaw dropper. I mean, going back to it, I just sat there and I was like, this guy with this crystal bag. I'm like, are you kidding me? And he calls it a prince. And I had the same reaction as Archon did. So I thought that was really funny. So, if you liked Weird World, that's great. It wasn't my favorite book, but I didn't dislike it at all. I really didn't. I mean, if I gotta give it a rating, I'm giving it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we'll go on to our top 3. And my number 3 book this week was, and I had a blast reading this one, Spider-Woman issue number 9. You read it?
Yep.
Yeah, this book was good.
Yes, I did.
This book has Ben Urich, and it has the porcupine, which his name now is Roger, going on a road trip to solve all these case files that they've come up with. And they find like this, I don't know what the type of car that it is, but it's some old car from like the 60s, and they're driving and taking this road trip, and this Roger guy is just like, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed or the sharpest knife in the drawer or the brightest crayon in a box. This guy's just a slacker. And no matter where they go, you get to see where they go to these different areas, which I thought was really funny. And you see Jessica pretty much handling everything on her own. Where she had to go to a lazy river retirement house. Then she had to go to like this Blarney Island at Grace Lake in Illinois. And it's just like you get to see her doing all the fighting. And then there you got Roger. He's like slacking off there. He's like giving the girls beer and stuff. And he's just like, what? I thought you needed help out here. He's like, not inside the, not under the water. And so what happens is Jessica winds up kind of going off on him and says, oh, you know what? She's like, I'm tired of this shit. She's like, you're going to be behind the car. You're going to watch from the car. You're going to do all this stuff from the car. And so she winds up taking a nap, and he's driving them to Western Texas. So they wind up veering off to historic Dodge City. And this is just basically another Roger mess up, because he wants to be a sheriff. And so he goes into this saloon or into this gift shop, and he winds up buying all these types of souvenirs. Well, when they enter this city, you wind up seeing that this billboard is really like a camera, and it recognizes that there's an Avenger there, and it's Jessica Drew. And so when they come into the little town or whatever, right away, Roger, he gets shot, and it's like everything just breaks out. You get to see all these like sheriffs or cowboys or all the townspeople come in, and you get to see Jessica just try to, stop everybody. Great artwork throughout this issue. This is really well done. I think the artwork is awesome here because they always like focus on her glasses. And I really think that is what now distinguishes Jessica Drew as Spider-Woman, is those glasses. And at first I wasn't too keen on it, but now I've gotten used to it. So after she takes over this town, or she defeats everybody, she meets the sheriff, the guy that's behind everything that's going on in here. And then what happens is these people that are in this town, they're all possessed by this guy. And they basically hang her up, to, I guess, get sliced and diced, because she's the one that's preventing the town to be the way that it is. And he doesn't want any other Avengers coming through. So it was a really interesting, and this is how it ends. This is the last page here. And this is the way it ended. And I was just like, wow, who are all these possessed people? Who's this crazy ass sheriff? And I was just like, and thanks to Roger, he's the mess, the screw up that winds up getting him into this place to begin with. I just thought overall, I thought the humor, the tone, the flow of the book was really good. The artwork fit the book. And I like Spider-Woman right now. I wasn't sure if I was going to like the direction or this series when it first came out. When it first came out with Spider-Verse, I thought it was lackluster, honestly, in my opinion. And but now, ever since Spider-Verse ended, I was like, this is a really good series. And I think Dennis Hopeless, I've always liked his writing. He wrote Avengers Arena. He's done Avengers Undercover. And I think he's done a really good job with this series as well. So I'm a fan of this. What do you think? Did you read it?
Yeah, I did. I do agree that the artwork is better. The original artist was Greg Land.
That's it. Book. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and he always had Jessica smiling. Mm-hmm. I'm like, really? Can you draw her any expression besides have her smiling?
No, everyone's happy in my book. I love the smile.
Yeah. I have no problem with the current costume. I mean, at least they kept the same colors as the original costume.
Yeah, I do too. I've grown to like it. It gets her more. It's more street level, and that's kind of what she wants to be. She doesn't want to be really undercover anymore. And I'll be the first to admit it. I made fun of her wearing the glasses. I was kind of like, why does everyone wear glasses in superheroes now? I'm like, is that the trend? But the funny thing is the glasses have made this superhero, because always in a lot of their art pages, it always focuses on a dark face, but her wearing those glasses, and it like really distinguishes the character, really lets you know that that's her, that's Jessica, you know, that's her new thing, you know. So
at least she still
I
got
like
her
this
powers,
book. This is
and
yeah, she still's got her
sure
powers and everything.
Still wondering, like, I'm sure everybody's still wondering the pondering question: who the heck got her pregnant?
Yes, I need to know what got her pregnant. Yes, I need to figure it out. I don't know if they're going to give us any hints, but the thing is that it takes place. We all know that after the Secret Wars, it all takes place 2 years after the fact. So not 2 years, 8 months after the fact. Sorry, 8 years after the fact.
Yeah.
So it's like, so she's well into her pregnancy, but we don't know who gets her pregnant probably until that series is relaunched.
Yeah, I hope they keep Ben Urich around as a supporting character in the book, because he works really well as a supporting character in Spider-Woman.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And I know where Porcupine's going after Secret War. He's going to Ant-Man.
Yeah, that's right. He's because they show him on that cover.
Yeah, I think he's working for Scott Lang's company.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah. That will be an interesting book.
And speaking of that, he was actually in the annual. He was in this book.
Oh, was he?
He was in there for like 2 pages, but he was in the book.
Huh. Interesting. Very interesting. All right.
Though one thing I got to give credit for this book for doing, I have never seen Porcupine without his mask on. Never. I've seen many comic books, but I have never seen him take off his mask before. And I've read many comic books.
And now he's wearing it. He's not even wearing it anymore anyway. Now he's just this guy with a long hair and beard. Just a normal Joe Schmo.
Yeah, and where's his daughter? Yeah, I wonder where his daughter is. I know that they rescued her in the previous issue.
She was at the other place. Wasn't she protected by the mom?
Probably. But I would think that with Jessica in trouble, my guess is she probably before she got captured, she probably keeps her Avengers ID card with her, even though she's no longer an Avenger. She probably keeps it just in case. Maybe she hit like the emergency button, and maybe Steve is calling out like a whole bunch of Avengers to rescue her in the next issue. That is my theory of what's going to happen next issue.
What do you think of Porcupine though? Like, think about that costume. He's in a car with that costume on. That's got to be uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. I know that he's an Iron Man villain. Porcupine is. He's a C-list Iron Man villain.
Yeah, he's got to be. I don't remember reading too much about him though.
Because if you look at Iron Man's Rogues Gallery, with the exception of Justin Hammer, the Ironmonger, the Mandarin, with the exception of those 3 characters, his whole Rogues Gallery is made up of C-list villains.
Who's else is in there? Whiplash too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that Whiplash is dead. The original Whiplash, the one that they did back in the 80s. I think he's dead.
Well, they've made other versions of him.
But they did bring in.
I think you froze, Nick. Yep, I think Nick froze, so we'll just wait for him to come back real quick. All right.
You ever see a picture of him?
You froze up there, Nick.
Oh, I was talking about the current Whiplash.
Okay, yeah. What about
him? It's not the original version of him. It's just one they adapted from the Iron Man 2 and brought to the comics.
Yeah.
I think you may have seen him Avengers on the cover because you remember the Masters of Evil.
Yeah. Yep, I do. I remember. All right. So I made a mistake on the top before with Harry Beans. He said his number 5 was E for Extinction, but I forgot his number 4. I misplaced his number 4. And his number 4 was The Fly Outbreak, issue 4. So I
did read that.
Did you?
That was actually pretty good.
I read issue 1, and I could not connect with it. So I did not give it another try.
Well, it's a good thing I've seen the Fly movies. This is a continuation of the Jeff Goldblum version of the Fly.
Right.
This miniseries takes place years after after the second movie. So I had a pretty good understanding of what was going on in the book because I had seen the movies. But the thing about the first Fly, it says, be afraid, be very afraid. It should say, be disgusted, be very disgusted, because some people probably will be vomiting at how gross the movie is.
The movies are gross. They are really gross.
The second one's not that gross, but the first one's gross.
The first one is horrible. Yeah, I remember seeing the first movie when I was a kid. Because that movie came out in 1980 something. Yeah, it came out in 1980 something. And what's it called? And I was shocked by it. I was just like, oh my God, this is the grossest movie. He sits there and sits there and pokes out his fingernails and his teeth and all that stuff like that. And it was just really, really gross. So I was just like,
his co-star was Glenda Davis. She was the female reporter he impregnated in the movie.
It was Gina Davis.
Yeah, Gina Davis.
Gina Davis.
Yeah, I saw that movie in the last 10 years. I've seen that and the sequel. But it's a movie I prefer to see maybe once or twice. I mean, it's one of those type of movies, it doesn't have rewatchability to it.
Oh, yeah.
The best thing about the movie is Jeff Goldblum.
Oh,
He's the best thing about the movie.
Yeah, well, I really think that actually, what's it called, made his career. I think that movie did, because then he became all like the scientist, and he became the scientist, the geek, and you saw where he's played in Jurassic Park, and it really made his career.
Yeah, and he's also known for having ellipses, pauses between his lines. You ever notice that about him?
Yeah.
He always likes to do that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean, it's very apparent in Jurassic Park, but it's not that apparent in Lost World Jurassic Park.
Yes, true. Yep. All right. So let's get back on track here. So we're going to go on to number 2. And number 2 for me was Canon The Last Padawan. I thought this book was really well done this time around. Liked it?
That was a good book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good book.
I think that Greg Weisman has just hit this ball out of this comic out of the park. I think it's really awesome. Again, the artwork with it, and I've said this each and every one. Pepe Larraz, I think is his name, it's just beautiful, and the colors go with the artwork. Everything about it is just great. I just love it. The facial expressions, all the characters in the book are just fantastic. This guy right here, just a nice book, and this time you get to see really that bond between Canon and what's his name, Casimir, I think his name is, really come together and start working together as partners, staying ahead of the clone troopers that are after him. I think it was so well done. And then at the end, you wind up seeing, as he was about to get his own spaceship, he gets knocked out by one of the clone troopers that's been in pursuit of him, and it ends off with a hell of a cliffhanger. Like, look at that page right there. I was like, oh man, this is so awesome. And I was just like, God, I was just like, this is such a great book. And I was just like, they must have to feel the pressure though of running away from these clone troopers, from trip after trip after trip after trip, but they kind of get a kick out of it also at the same time. But I love this book, and I just love seeing him growing up as kind of just this, not as a Jedi anymore, but as a, kind of like that Han Solo type of character, that smuggler type of thing.
Mm-hmm. I read the book. It's a good read, and I've seen this list. This book is definitely going to continue. Like in October, they're releasing issue 7, though they're no longer calling it Keen and the Last Padawan. I think that title, The Last Padawan, has been dropped from the book after the next issue.
Yeah, I think
they're dropping that subtitle.
And I think that the team is different on it too.
So I think Greg Weisman is still writing the book after this first arc is done. I think they're changing the artists.
I have to. Well, if they change the artist, that sucks too, because the artwork is gorgeous. It's so nice, and it fits the book actually perfectly.
And it's a good thing Greg Weisman was chosen to write this book because he co-created this character. So why not?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like that Chris Claremont syndrome. If he co-created the character, he's the best person to write the solo book.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great book. It's a great book. Every time I read it, it's always in my top 5. I'm sitting there going, oh, is it going to be in my top 5 again? And, and it's funny too, because it's Star Wars, but it's not the traditional Star Wars that I grew up to. So it's a completely different thing. So for me to like it this much it's saying good stuff, that it's a good and well-written book, really enjoyable, it really surprised me when I read issue 1. I'm like, man, this is fantastic. So, and it's progressed nicely. It's just a nice story. And when it comes out in trade, I feel that it will be an awesome trade to read too.
Yep. I think that probably after this arc, they're probably going to jump ahead a little bit because I don't think they're going to have the next arc for the series pick up right when this arc leaves off. They're probably going to jump ahead maybe a few months.
Right, yeah, true.
Like maybe 3 months later type of thing. I mean, the series is supposed to fill up what Keenan was up to during the 14 years before the start of Rebels, the first episode.
Right. Yeah, but great stuff. I really enjoyed it. So if there's people out there that have not read this book, I would definitely go out and read this. This is definitely a high recommendation from both of us.
And also recommend anybody who loves Star Wars Rebels. We love that series. Read this book.
Absolutely, because you'll get a good background on this character, which is awesome. All right. So number 2 for Harry Bean was Marvel Zombies issue number 2. So he really was a fan of Marvel Zombies this week. All right. So next we're going to go on to our top book of the week. And my number 1 book of the week was Star-Lord and Kitty Pryde issue number 1. I really liked this book. Reason being is it had all these little different elements of what is kind of going on with these two when it comes to the current or past Marvel universe, I guess. But the thing is in this issue is that we have Peter Quill, who, I guess knows what happened with the incursion, okay, but somehow ended up separated from everybody else. And he's in Manhattan, and he's this nightclub singer. But no one knows of Disney songs, so he's singing all these Disney songs, and all these people love him. But the one person that he truly misses and that he loves the most is Kitty Pryde. And he doesn't call himself Peter Quill because he doesn't want people to recognize him. He calls himself Steve Rogers, which I thought is hilarious in the book. And Drax is his promoter, and he has this weird hair, which is so funny. And so
afro.
It's so funny.
It's afro.
And then the cool thing is all of a sudden Kitty Pryde makes her entrance into the club. And the most awesome thing is in here is because of based off of Black Vortex, what does she have right now? She has a cosmic power, right? So the cool thing is in here is as she's getting introduced into the club, there's a beautiful picture. She's wearing a dress that has that cosmic look to it. And I thought, man, that is awesome. That is really so well thought of to play tribute to what has happened to her in the past and throw it into this whole Secret Wars thing. So that was really neat. And then she meets up with Gambit, and they have this what's called an anomaly. And they always do these tests on these things. And wherever you do this test, it comes up as an unknown. And so if you were to check everything would be unknown because everything is different in this Secret Wars thing. But her and Gambit have this deal going on that they have to trade things. And of course, Gambit tries to, get sweet on her and whatnot. And the next thing you wind up finding out in this book is that she's got Wolverine claws like X-23. And I was like, dude, that's wild in here. But there's other characters thrown in here from X Factor, which I thought was neat. You got Guido in there. And, and then there was a couple other ones that Wolfsbane, or I think his name was, or her name. But they were part of the band members. But then you get to see this Peter or Steve Rogers, if you want to say, interfere with each other, and they wind up getting into this whole fight. And he costed the deal. And so you get to see this whole thing erupt, and he kind of shares a kiss with her. And she slaps him in the face. There was just some good elements in here. And when he gets jacked in the face, there's a piece of blood that goes onto the tester that she was using to test her rare products or whatever it was. And she's like, you're an anomaly. She's like, you're coming with me, and you're going to go back to Doom or whatever it is that she's going to. And I thought it was awesome. I thought it was so well done. It was a lot of fun. It threw a lot of tributes back to, this current past Marvel universe that we've known for the past, few years now. And it really played kind of a tribute to these two characters winding up together, but in a weird way, not the fiance and type of style that we know them from the past issues. So I thought it was a great issue. It was a lot of fun for me. Did you read this?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think of it?
It was actually really good. It was probably, along with Old Man Logan, definitely one of the best books come out of Marvel this week.
Yeah.
And I think that his suit kind of reminds me of the way of the Harrison Ford suit that he wore in Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. Yeah. It looks like the same exact suit that he's wearing.
Yeah. Yep. It was awesome. Just a lot of things were really good in that book. The moment with Drax, him calling himself Steve Rogers, which I think was hysterical.
Too.
Yeah, the Kitty Pryde having the X-23 claws, didn't expect that. Her hooking, her and Gambit coming together, but Gambit being his traditional, trying to romance with the lady's self. I thought that was pretty neat. And just it was a good book. It was fun. It wasn't too dark or
at least Gambit was Gambit.
Yeah, he was. He really was. He was pretty much the same character. I thought it was fun, and it will be interesting.
You don't think he did not do?
What's that?
You don't think he did not do was show off his powers? The card stuff he likes to do.
He did
show off his powers if he does. If they didn't show if he does really have these powers.
Oh, he did do it with the champagne bottle though. So if you notice, in that one page towards the end, he winds up grabbing the champagne bottle and he winds up setting the cork off because you get to see his light go off of it, and then you get to see Drax deflect it off of his knife, which is funny. And then the cork goes flying and it hits Storm's glass, it hits Guido's symbol, and then it hits off of other parts in the club. It was just a fun book overall, and it'll be interesting to see now, where does she take him? She's going to bring him back, and how are these two going to go on this adventure together? And she handcuffed him right to herself, and Are they going to fall in love? Like, it's going to be weird. I don't know. Hopefully it stays kind of comical that way.
Does the Storm have a full head of hair, or she got a mohawk
It's Mohawk.
in the issue?
Yeah.
Huh. I guess to still keep the current look. And I know that an X-Men Age Apocalypse, she's going to have a mohawk.
Right. So I guess they're going with maybe what's popular.
Yeah,
you know
but
what
I
I'm saying?
still don't know why that Apocalypse looks the way he does. The promotional stuff, have you seen the promotional stuff where Apocalypse is going to look in the movie?
Oh yeah,
Looks
absolutely.
bad.
Yeah. When I went to go see
Fox thinking?
Yeah, when I was looking at it, I was sitting there going, "Oh yeah, I can't wait to see this, these pictures." And I'm like, "Who's that blue guy?" "Oh, that's Apocalypse?" "No, that can't be." I was like, "Is that like maybe one of his?"
Has never been blue.
Yeah, but I know, but I can see the blue, but I can't see the face. The face is not him at all, and it's just he's not.
I mean, what's so wrong about doing that? You know that style face he's got we got like a little line up his face, like that. I mean, that'd be a simple thing to do with makeup, and yet they don't do it in the picture.
Right,
and that's so stupid.
That distinguishes the character. That totally distinguishes the character. That facial is Apocalypse.
Yeah.
That's what people have known
Even
over the
AOA
years.
version has that too.
What's that?
Every version of Apocalypse has that look.
Oh,
every version of Apocalypse has that look.
Yeah, even
the 616 version, the Ultimate version, every single depiction I have seen of this character has had that look. What he wears is different, but his face has always looked the same. Yeah. That's the real Apocalypse.
That mouth is what you expect when you see the character.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know.
I would think that some people probably have seen the animated series from the 90s, the X-Men series.
Absolutely.
The way you look in that series, that's how it traditionally looks.
Yeah. And he's been that way.
I don't mind the fact if they changed the suit, but the face they had to keep the same.
Yeah. He kind of looks a little wimpy too, I'm not going to lie.
How about that collar that he's wearing?
Yeah. It's so bad. He's like some troll. I'm like, hey, it's the Apocalypse troll. I thought he was some little crony or something. That wasn't the true character. Maybe he'll turn into that. You think maybe he'll turn into it? To maybe the type of character that we know? Or a version of it? What do you think?
Probably, but hopefully they have it to where Rima Tut is involved with how he becomes the way he is, because that's how traditionally his origin story is depicted, where Rima Tut is responsible for his traditional look. He basically used his technology from the future, and Rima Tut is a past version of King the Conqueror, obviously. But the thing is, Rima Tut is a Fantastic Four type character. Kang and Immortalis are Avengers villains. So the question is, who owns the rights to these characters? Is it Fox or is it Marvel?
Fox. Probably. I don't know.
I mean, Rima Tut, I wouldn't be surprised if the rights to him, but Kang?
When I look at Fox, it's been talked so many times, whether it's Fantastic Four, whether it's, X-Men, but it does look like that the movie they are going to get right is Deadpool. I mean, honestly, that's the movie so far based off of the preview there. It looks like that's what they can do. Maybe they could get off of the team bullshit and just focus on one character. Maybe they can do that right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and hopefully that the Fantastic Four reboot, which comes out next month, hopefully it's better than the last two movies.
Honestly, though.
Because those movies were just bad.
But you know what, though? As long as I know some people are kind of mixed on that, but at the same time, it kind of stayed true to the comic, which I can appreciate. Yeah. This is not. This kind of looks like more of like an Ultimate version in a way. But
it is. It's based upon the first arc of Ultimate Fantastic Four.
Right, and which
is a Mark Millar. He wrote the story.
Right, and I'm just like, but most people don't know that. You know what I'm saying? if you're an average moviegoer, people know the Fantastic Four as how Johnny Storm is, how Reed is, how Sue is, and and so forth. And to them, this looks like a completely different team, So I'm going to see it regardless. And I can't, obviously, none of us can make a judgment until these movies come out, or a trailer. We've seen the trailer, obviously, of Fantastic Four, but at least of Apocalypse. And, you can't make the true judgment until you see the movie, because I, for one, for Ant-Man, when I first saw that first trailer, I was like, yeah, really? I don't want to see this movie. But as I've seen more of the trailers, it looks better. And from what people are telling me, it's looked much better. Obviously it hasn't sold the amount of tickets as it, even it was a little bit under projection. It was about 2 million under projection under its initial release. And I think they said it's like the third worst Marvel movie that's come out behind Captain America and I think Thor. Or the Hulk or something like that. But I was kind of expecting that, because
I don't think so.
Ant-Man is a hard sell, because nobody, if you're not a comic fans like us, I feel that Ant-Man is a hard sell to get people excited to be like, dude, let's go see Ant-Man. He rocks, It's honestly, that's the way, you got to look at
it. And putting an actor like Michael Douglas in the movie probably does increase the chances of people going to see it, because a lot of people have respect for Michael Douglas. When it I don't know if you heard about this. There was a meme going around for the past year when they first casted the current people who are playing the Fantastic Four. The meme is they call them the Fantastic Four babies because they're so young.
Yeah, I know.
And now there's controversy over Stan Lee released something today about people's thoughts about the casting of Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, some people are thinking, because when people think of Johnny Storm, people think of a white, blonde guy.
Yeah.
Not a black guy.
Right.
I mean, people have respect for Michael B. Jordan. I mean, not as much big respect as Michael Douglas, but he's a character that he's an actor everyone can get behind.
Right.
The rest of the actors, I've never heard of before. And some people ask the question, like, if Johnny's black, why isn't Sue black? I guess they wanted to keep the tradition going of the whole brother and sister thing, and they probably want to keep, like, a blonde woman. But, I mean, there was many faults with the previous Fantastic Four movies, but not all the characters were depicted horribly.
No.
I think the best character they actually got right was the Silver Surfer.
Yeah, he looked cool. He was awesome. He really was. I don't know.
Do you know who played him?
I don't remember.
The actual suit actor. Same guy played Abe Sapien from Hellboy. Doug Jones.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. So let me see before I sign off if there's any other questions. And if there isn't any more or any comments or anything else like that, then we will sign off for the day. So let me get a refresh on this real quick. And see
I think we're going for almost 2 hours.
Yeah, we're going pretty long time, so we'll have to sign off.
Yeah, it's almost 4.
Yep, no other comments have loaded. So, all right. So, yeah, so we'll sign off. So we want to thank everybody for watching this week. And I want to thank everyone who is watching, who will watch in the future, when this is post live. And if you guys have any comments, please leave your comments below. I'll be glad to get back to you as soon as possible. Again, if you ever want to be a co-host on this show, please obviously let me know in the comments below, and I will return your message as quick as possible. Next week, we're going to have Jeremy, who is Mr. J's comic review, will be on here. He was supposed to be on here this week, but I forgot he was away on vacation. So I got the rotation messed up. But he'll be on here next week doing the countdown with me. So, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this week's show. So, as always, everybody, this is Mike Spider Slayer and Nick Lenz. We're signing off. And, guys, until that next comic book review, we'll see you real soon. And this has been the Countdown, episode number 109. Take care, everyone. We'll see you real soon.
Bye, guys.